Quinn. My name is Anton Mikulowski, and I am a bookseller here. I am so pleased that you've all joined us for Poetry Night with Dralandra Larkins and friends. There's just a few housekeeping items to get in order before we get on with the show. Tonight you're going to hear from Dralandra Larkins, Rosetta Peters, and Ben Westlie. Afterwards, please allow our speakers to move to the signing counter, which is the glass display that you passed on your way into the store. At that point, feel free to line up there, say hello, and get a signed copy of the book. If you do buy a book here this evening, you should know that you're not only supporting the author, but also a locally owned independent bookstore, and we cannot thank you enough. Now, I am pleased to introduce our guest tonight. We have Dralandra Larkins, of course, an award-winning spoken word poet and educator. She is a multi-genre writer and audiobook author of Before I Lie, a Compass teaching artist, and a recipient of the Loft Literary Center Teaching Artist Fellowship, the Minnesota State Arts Board Grant, and Springboard for the Arts Weathering Together Artist Grant. She performed for the NAACP, Button Poetry, Mill City Museums, True Art Speaks, Minnesota State Capitol, Minnesota Black Business Ball, and the Minnesota Black Authors Expo. Her work weaves together rhythm, intimacy, and vulnerability to create a haven for healing rooted in her background as a social worker. She is the co-editor of Cracked Walnuts Anthology, Rewilding Hope and the Nation's Underground, Writing with Our Ancestors with Cabello Hansel, and currently coordinates literary programming at Friends of the St. Paul Public Library, including Club Book, Moving Words, and the Fireside Reading Series. Follow her journey at DralandraWrites.com. Rosetta Peters is a poet, an author, a public speaker, and an activist. She is of Crow Creek and Yankton, Dakota descent. A procrastinator to the point of detriment and lover of the natural world, she is the author of Blue Hummingbird Dance and writer for The People, an anthology. Ben Westlie is the author of Run From You Now, a Minnesota Book Award finalist in Poetry 2025. His poetry has appeared in Dash, The Fourth River, Muse, Super Present, Arlie Joe, Atlas, and Alice and the Talking Stick. A selected poet for Time You Let Me In, 25 Poets Under 25, edited by Naomi Shahab Nye. Please welcome Dralandra Larkins.
Hey y'all.
Hey.
How you doing?
Good, how are you doing?
Good, thank you for asking. Thank y'all for showing up tonight. I feel like showing up tonight really is an act of courage and care. With everything that's going on in our city and the presence of ICE, it really is unfortunate, but I really appreciate it that y'all are here. So thank you so much, and it's good to see your beautiful faces. I'm going to just dive right in with my first piece called Spell Work. Spell work, how my mother taught me to write. I've been writing like my mama hemmed poems into my palms. Like every woman in my bloodline braided ink into my fingers. My bloodline been good with their hands, weaving, working, worrying, praying. I just let it sing on the page, I turn all that labor into language. My mama plants gardens in shadows where the light doesn't reach, taught me to plant forgiveness in small resistant pots, taught me how to water empathy, how to pour love, how to kiss the roots of things too stubborn to change. My mama taught me to speak life into dry ground. She taught me stitching ain't just cloth work, to sew is soul work. Showed me how to thread grief into fabric, how to bind myself back together, how to knot what poverty and violence tried to unravel, how to tighten what the world tried to pull apart. My mama says, I'm the same little girl who wrote on her wrist, who clenched her fist around a pen and used poetry like gin to write away her sins, who gripped a ballpoint pen and squeezed her worries into verse because poetry was the only magic that ever cast her back first. I learned that poems are just garments for a soul too wild to wear ordinary cloth. We are spellcasters. Every poem is a spoken mutiny, a rebellion, an alchemy of hope pressed into calloused hands, too tired to hold dreams, yet still we're casting spells. We turn suffering into superpowers, transmute wounds into wisdom, and pain into progression towards our purpose. We take the bruises, the backhands, and broken wishes, and spin them into bridges, into bonfires, into blood song. I learned early that being too loud meant being labeled dangerous, that the world won't always hand you a storybook ending, but I could carve folk tales out of misery, weave fairy tales from fracture, become my own wizard with nothing but a pen and a crooked spine full of stubbornness, because poetry was never just art. Writing is vital. There's poetry in prayers, so poetry is survival. It's spell work. It's science. The way an artist visualizes a mural in their mind and manifests it into the physical, creating is spiritual. And my pen has always been a ritual. Every stanza is a psalm. Every rhyme is a resurrection. Every metaphor is a map back to myself. I am the same little girl who once scribbled spells into drywall, begging for a new world. I am the woman who now spits spells into microphones, building new worlds out of nothing but breath and ashes of imagination, because poetry is how we conjure breath after the breaking. I mastered my magic because I stopped waiting for permission to believe. I don't just write for myself. I write like my grandmother's calluses live in my pen. Like my mother's prayers bloom between my stanzas. Like every broken thing they mended, I'm sewing too. But mine comes out in poems instead of hymns. And I've been writing like lineage lives in my hands. Like every woman before me knew how to mend what the world tried to tear. I spin what they carried into something that speaks. This is my inheritance, the spell work in my skin. Every word, every line is patchwork prayer. This is spell work. Thank y'all so much. This next piece is one of my award-winning pieces. It's called I'm Black. And with everything that's going on in this political division, and with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, January 19th that just passed, I think this is a good piece to go ahead and remind us what civil rights mean and the values that Dr. King championed. So I'm Black. Oh, and then here's a picture of my panelists. I'm Black. Blacker than you can understand. I come from goddesses who carried their essence in the palms of their hands, always uplifting sisters like no other can. I wear virtue, breathe life into my brothers like no other man, 'cause I am love and light. Come look into my sight and see my reflection. My brown-skinned mother gave birth to me so I could give birth to a new generation of African queens who create inspiration. I don't embrace hatred. I got sister blood and soul all over my shoelaces. Tie those together, it's in my genes, in my nature. Right. I'm Black like West African women with thick hips and full lips, like single mothers with tight fists, like fried eggs and cornbread, jollof rice, jerk chicken, fish chips, and grits, 'cause this is soul food, child. You know, soul food. I'm Black like coffee with no cream. Black like silent screams, Dr. King's I have a dream, let freedom ring. I'm just Black. I'm Black enough to fight for civil rights. Black enough to reflect the light. Black enough to broadcast my pride like Sojourner Truth. Ain't I a woman? Black enough so that when these words touch, they leave fingerprints on your very soul. So how Black? Black enough so that when these words touch, they leave fingerprints on your very soul. Black from within, from ancestors who unlock the mystery between Genesis and Revelations. Black enough to stick up like a sore thumb and represent a new nation. Black enough to spot and think before I speak. Black enough to absorb more than just heat. See, this is knowledge, and I and wisdom understand me, see. I'm a proud African American, richness in my melanin, mocha skin, kings for men, you know it's legit, because fight the power runs through the blood of my heritage. With a little bit of civil rights, Assata Shakur, single Black mothers in a struggle, hip hop, Tupac, Jay-Z is a hard knock, Motown, James Brown, James Baldwin, Huey, Colin Kaepernick, Ruby, Trayvon Martin, Harriet, Ketanji Brown, Bell Hooks, Emmett Till, Rena Moran, Sandra Bland, and Malcolm X, who be the keeper to my brother man. And when I give birth to another soul, I will so lovingly, so proudly, unapologetically say, baby, you're black, blacker than you'll ever understand. Thank y'all so much. So growing up, being dark-skinned black is really hard. Especially when you're dealing with racism, discrimination. But then also just on a personal note, like being black is hard just because of the things that you hear about being black, right? Like the skin complexion, your hair, your culture, your names, right? So this next piece is about my insecurity with both my skin complexion and my hair. In my culture, so in African American culture and community, we refer to the back of our necks as the kitchen. Not sure why, not sure where that term came from, but in this piece, when you hear me say kitchen, I'm referring to the back of my neck right here. So this is the kitchen. So this piece is called Kitchen Songs. Being black and beautiful always felt like it came with a warning label. Handle with grace, handle with patience, handle with care, and handle with love. But I knew I was different when my mama either pulled out the rat tail comb or the hot comb like it was a weapon, a blade passed down through generation. She'd go straight for the kitchen. Naps sizzling like bacon at the back of my head, blue magic melting, frying my scalp raw. Heated tears baked behind my lashes. Stop, Ma, that hurt. Girl, hush. Beauty is pain. Now let me cook and get that kitchen under control. That was a black girl's baptism, a hot comb on a Sunday. She started parting down my scalp like Moses split the Red Sea, taking the same path our ancestors carved through chains, auction blocks, and fields hot enough to cook a soul and fry a spirit. She yanked at the roots. Each tug yanked out the lies the West sold us. That beautiful meant straight, light, easy. Meanwhile, my hair fought back, kinked, coiled, edges rebelling, crying out for freedom. I sat between her knees on a worn pillow, head bowed like I was taking communion, wondering, why did God crown me with struggle? Why couldn't my strands waterfall like others did on shampoo commercials? Why bury my beauty in knots and naps? Why did mine need smoke, oil, and hustle to survive? Why did my beauty have to fight? Why did my hair need so much taming? And why couldn't I just mold into belonging? You a beautiful black queen, baby, my mama said, brushing scripture straight into my tender scalp. She tightened her grip like she was braiding up hope for my future. Yeah, God made me, wonderfully made them stop and stare, made them handle me with righteous hands, as if the angels handed me over personally, like an offering. Coils, my crown is my garden. Remember when India Ari sung, don't need your silicone, I prefer my own, what God gave me is just fine. My kinks and coils don't need to be defined, not sleeked nor greased. My afro grows and flows up and outwardly, stretching the laws of science, defying gravity. I am magical, and the world lives inside me. My hair reflects God's nature. It's the texture of thick bark on trees. Just hydrate my strands with rain, castor oil, cocoa butter, and baby, I smell like sweet honeybees. My tresses, lovely, loud, a freedom of expression is phenomenally made beautiful. I was kissed by the king who nourished my roots in holy water down to the cuticle, the follicle. My crown is my garden, and each seed that I plant, it blossoms strong and abundantly beyond the white soil of embedded conditioning. They taught us to think that nappy meant dreadful. Taught us to feel ashamed of 4C hair that can't be contained with their bobby pins. But our sister locks don't bend to Western beauty conformity. As I rebel like Angela and march for peace, my curls and coils be dancing in the wind, boldly and free. Our magnificent hair was made to wonder, made to stare, and orbit, stardust, and black infinity, for all to see that the standard is kinky, it's coily, don't need ya silicone. I prefer my own, what God gave me is just fine. And so I sing the song like India Ari, because I am, will be, naturally me. And then I have 3 more pieces. This next piece is Ode to the Hood, where I'm from. This is my most recent award-winning piece, and Ben here was actually the judge for this poetry slam. And so thank you, Ben. Ode to the Hood, where I'm from. I'm from elementary and high school dropouts, from playgrounds with torn basketball hoops and stolen dreams. I'm from bus stops and long-ass walks, from Arnold's gun store, Robert's shoes, the liquor store, 7 Mile, $5 boutiques, George Floyd Square, and the corner of Chicago and Lake Street. I'm from the intersection where bullets and color wars meet, from stolen halos and streetlights that don't blink, prayers left on voicemail. I'm from women who wear gold on every finger, poppies rocking rope chains with the Jesus piece, and uncles with bankrolls thick as loyalty. I'm from the Holy Ghost and church. I'm from, but did you take off on her first? From absent birthdays, deadbeat father, strong mother, and a home where dysfunction is just background noise. Sirens and helicopters sound like a vacation. Where I'm from, the school's pipeline to prison isn't a stretch, it's a bus stop. I'm from IEP plans, redlining, yellow tape, Social Security, and Section 8. I'm from hopping gates, cops call, thin walls, pit bulls snarl with silver chains round their napes. I'm from cold cases and superheroes who don't wear capes. From chip polish and cheap paint left molding into slumlords. From evictions and pawning family heirlooms handed down at birth. I'm from a generational curse and witches who survived the spell of poverty. I'm from barehanded healers, seers, medicine women who cut the lie from your body without surgery. I'm from the streets that gave my TT HIV. May she rest in peace. I'm from the bullet in my daddy's knee, the deep scar on my mother's cheek. I'm from collect calls and bail money, halfway houses, screen door, chain guards, steel with brass finish. Who would that be? I'm from niggas in ski masks, wearing death like fashion. I'm from tattooed portraits and men and women easily fractured by bad habits. I'm from the war on drugs, Freedom Riders, Little Rock 9. I'm from black women 3 times more likely to die on hospital beds bringing life. I'm from the transatlantic slaves, Mississippi muddy boots of trade, from the great migration, tobacco farms and plantations. The fabric of my history burns with wildfires of colonization. I'm from gentrification, where cities are built on one side of the street. I'm from couches wrapped in plastic, Sunday cleanups, lavender incense burning, Keith Sweat, Mary J, and Neo Soul on the stereo. I'm from all those stereotypes. I'm from mud and sand. I'm from my mother's prayers and clasped hands. I'm from prophecy, survival, from faith. Grew up hearing mama say, good things come to those who wait. I'm from her breath when she professed, it ends with me. I am the rose that blossomed, the one that shouldn't have bloomed from concrete. And then just 2 more here. So here's a shorter piece, Holy Note. Surely the one who made light and day, heaven and birds, made you. No mistakes, no scratch outs, no margin left empty. God didn't draft you. didn't sketch you in pencil. You were inked with purpose. Bless. And then this last piece is called A Letter to Love Yourself. I always end my performances with this affirmation poem, just because I think it's a good message to bring back home to folks. And it's what the heart of the book is about, loving yourself. And if you purchase the book tonight, it's this page here. Don't skip over this page. I don't know, I feel like this is a page that people will skip over, but this is one of the most important pages of the book. A Letter to Love Yourself. Love yourself. Do not believe society's standard of beauty, because truly you are a masterpiece created by the master God. You are beautiful. Your skin and bone human, you are not made of metaphors, but your strength is fire. It's never ending, it doesn't burn out. Let no one hold your power. You're the queen, king of your tower. Breathe. So you found the strength to keep going, so hold on just a little longer. What doesn't kill you makes you a conqueror. So you've got to be brave. David, conquer your Goliath and slay. Just love yourself. And nah, I'm not talking about buying a new pair of shoes with your fresh taper cut or your brows on fleek, edges sleek, so you shared a tweet and now you're feeling yourself. I'm talking about healing yourself from the root of your core. Because if you won't acknowledge who you truly are, then what is your purpose for? So this is a society that made you feel like you're black is not a boastful believer. And this is a society that made you feel unsatisfied with the skin you're in. Fall in love with your imperfections. Skin, smile, face, collarbones. You are a blessing, and don't second guess this. Because I absolutely and definitely wholeheartedly love me unconditionally. Do not believe society's standard of beauty, because truly you are a masterpiece. Thank y'all so much.
Like, are you kidding me? You could have warned me. Hey, you could have said something. You know, anything at all. It is an honor to be here, and I just want to say that this city is seen by the world, it's changed in the world, and it is so emotional. I made my way down here from St. Cloud, that's where I reside, and just watching just an hour north, there's so much emotion in Stearns County, and it's because of beautiful people, so thank you for that. I wrote this book a couple years ago, and the whole theme was to risk vulnerability to create connectivity, and that was the big theme, and it's on my writer desk to this day, and I see it, and it's like, hey, that was your power, that was your source. So here we go. This is called My Dazzler. I remember the joyful chaos of carnivals, the congregation of chants and games, and the too loud laughter of surrounding strangers. Above me in the distant sky, human arms and massive wheels spinning, elevated in flight, a brew of togetherness among the clouds. I remember my need for a snow cone and how I thought I could taste colors and not just flavors. How even the air I breathed in seemed deep fried in my mouth's merriment, and then my skin, like butter, my pores full of the sun. I remember her in that circular, linked home, rounding in one place over and over in a sparkling carousel. My metal horse I named Dazzler, her petal pink mane, her matching magenta saddle, her body shimmering like moonlight cotton snow, her eyes stunned in the surprise of rubies, and her hooves glittering gold as if she never would tarnish. I remember the fear I had of her fakeness, that if she knew how as a little boy I wanted to be pretty and somehow glow even in a crowd like she could, I would be nothing close to a man someday. I kept silent as she and I went countless turns, my dizziness alluring. I soared somewhere closer to the stars as the day transformed into night, and the carnival became a constellation surrounding me with all of its light. That's kind. Thank you very much. Alright, I'm just gonna go along here. Finding our flag. We were still just boys acting like superheroes when we came upon it. The red and the white stripes torn and bleached by the sun. The stars fewer than 50 and with blurred shapes like explosions. We knew what it was like in school. We knew what it was in school. We sang to it as our right hand sheltered our hearts. Never have we seen the flag like this before. We picked the flag up and wrapped it around our shoulders like a native shawl. We put it around our heads like a shaman's turban. We let it hang from our brows like a nun's veil. We put it around our hips and pranced in a girlish dance out of ourselves. My friend froze. So many died fighting for this flag, he said. Then my friend threw the flag to the ground, put his head right over my heart, while my arms possessed found their way around his torso. Boys were told not to hug this long or ever. Because of this torn, disfigured, sun-bleached flag, we were boys who would be men, embracing each other and crying. Okay, a little water. All right. So I'm from Bemidji, way up in the place where there's not a lot of people like me. So we'll just put it that way. Okay. This is called Bemidji Safe. You were born to be this way. Welcome. The multicolored poster on the door twinkled in a silver foiled font. I read it several times before taking another step, my moist palm on the knob turning it to join a congregation of people my neighbors referred to as those queers. I took a seat at the long table. Across from me, a masculine, scruffy boy, cut arms, a baby blue shirt, too small for his perky pectorials. He stared his fist with his squinted eyes, his face in disbelief. I'm not one of them. His defined jaw grimaced in disdain. To my left, a fragile nymph-like blonde in a white cardigan, hair as thick as a mermaid. She almost seemed too young to be a teenager, to understand the feelings that the rest of us have all acted upon. Breathe. The single word slipped from her lips, loud enough for me to hear it. There was a calmness in her voice. Somehow her closeness slightly settled my chaotic heart. At the head of the table sat our leaders, a middle-aged man with thick glasses, glistening cheeks, who smiled warmly. The woman next to him, a gorgeous wonder. A trans woman, the first I ever met, I later learned. A slim frame, eyeshadow so green, thick like moss, a precise color for her foxy eyes, teased crimped wig like an 80s video vixen. An Adam's apple throat like mine that protruded so sharp, like a mini mountain. I couldn't command my staring. I couldn't withdraw my wonderment. We all had a turn to talk at the table. One by one we stood from our chairs, agitated, babbling, stuttering our histories. How do you explain yourself when you fear yourself? The masculine boy stood first, wobbling like he had seconds to know the right answer. He pulled down his baseball cap to be invisible to us. His sweat leaking through his pits, his pores like faucets. I'm not gay is all he could say to the rest of us. He said as he stared at the ground like it was a trap door, like somewhere he would fall. He continued, I just sleep better next to my teammates. Their chests to my back, it's safety to me. He began to shake like he was shivering. The blonde went next. She spoke of her lesbian mother, her partner, their hard life. She thinks she's going to be the same when she grows up. She began to cry like it was finally all right too. The leader with glasses giving up long-distance hugs, ready to hold her like a part of herself was leaving her, and then the emerald lips blew her kisses from across the room. I rose out of my chair like I was summoned. Blotches of red surfacing on my face. My turn, my eyes closed, I told myself. To make eye contact is to let someone in. I talk about my childhood, I talk about the Barbie dolls and the dresses and the earrings and the presents, how putting makeup on my face for prep rallies and plays was like finally being seen. My mom's old nightgowns as my pajamas, my obsession over Madonna. Her lyrics like prophetic lures and self-revelations. The machine in my mouth conveying my naked ventures with not just one, but a few boys. How every wilting second that I was with them, I could have lived in. I heard sudden footsteps. I opened my eyes to a form line. I'm greeted to kind eyes through glasses, then a gentle smile from a blonde mermaid, a palm upon my cheek with acrylic neon nails, a fist giving me the soft pound on my shoulder like I played my best game. Their empathy, like a potion we all secretly wanted to swallow when we so fearfully walked through the silver door. You guys are so nice. You're so nice. Okay, we'll go three more. Okay, all right. The feather pen. I'm going to be a writer, I told my best friend. The thoughts of suicide were close to my heart by then, and high school is where I had to be. My English teacher saved my life with a smile, a nod, and the simple words that somehow swam together. I think that's a lovely choice, Ben. We looked at each other like we were suddenly not so lonely. I remember I wanted her to be a singer, a truth teller. She chose to be a wanderer working jobs that occupied her heart, appearing like a hologram after high school, like we weren't supposed to be adults together. Years later, in a hotel room where I had my pants down, an intoxicated stranger put a needle into my hip over and over. A feather pen, I slurred as I laid half naked with a man I met at the bar just a few hours before. No one who loved me to witness my lustful alterations around. In that same year, my old friend became one of the first female farmers in her community. My favorite teacher made the choice to transform themselves from male to female, and how I longed to be by their bedside in that magical hospital when they woke as a woman. Okay, I know what to do. All right. Demon. Tonight, you're out reading the stars, trying to remember their stories, as if their meaning could articulate their shine. This is about your shame, the nakedness of humans. There's so many you have hungered for. Their wholeness, the heat of their skin, the body's glow without a fabric cover. You never mention your problem with vodka, its swimming temptation, warming you up like sleeping in the sun. You're afraid of yourself, this lustful demon, who acts to be used like a hotel room. Downtown, you find yourself going where so many secrets are flickering in blurry bedrooms. You're consumed by this relentless urge to hunt for someone, a random lover to make you feel worth his naked body. You're grateful to be alive, and always for their stars, their distance, their shine, their unharmful company. It's funny when you get this far in the reading and then you stop getting nervous, you know? All right, sometimes when I'm alone, anything that glittered, dresses, rings, most of all I treasured earrings. Not just any for this man. I only wanted, I needed pearls. Like my favorites, I wore in my own ears. I was like my mother, the youngest sibling, small but like a grain of sand, unsure of my transformations, unsure of why I liked all the pretty things. The next best queen, I wanted to be classy, a dame with gemstone ring fingers, pin-up girl figure, a seductive sway, perfectly smooth hair that told you just how eloquently female I could be standing in your sights. Yes, I should have been a girl. I should have been stunning instead of living a fake for all these years. Sometimes when I'm alone, I put on a skirt that glitters, and sometimes I wear matching jewels and heels, and I twirl as if my living room were my childhood, and being a shimmering man in a dress makes the world something I could dazzle and take in like light. All right, last one, I promise. Okay, here we go. Stiletto Angel. They waited. I was drunk. They followed me outside of my favorite dive bar in my hometown. 3 of them to be exact. Fucking faggot. Thrown headfirst into an alley. My face smashed into the street. Pavement smells like fear. Where are all my friends? My sisters. First kick, miss. Then the second kick. My stomach flexes, the shield against the metal tip of a shit kicker. I summoned a blackout. God, please don't let them kill me, I whispered. Several angry hands all over my body, every limb, squeezing fingers, my flesh bursting, my body a presence to be disposed of. Get away from him, you motherfuckers. Her voice stilled the streets. Her stiletto smashed against the skull. Like a gorilla, she pounced on one of their backs, shrieking as if to call for battle or commence or an ambush. Get off of him, you crazy cunt. Her other stiletto struck him, repeating until he whimpered like being stabbed. I came to, blue and red lights like a strobe light. I could have been at a gay bar dancing safe with someone like me. My angel told me the other 2 predators pried her from their bloodied friend. Pulling her legs, hair in such force, her fingernails tore the skin from their face and neck. The police found the skin under her fingernails. They understood a woman becoming monstrous when protecting. Sometimes in daylight or moonlight under my breath, I say her name, summoning safety so I don't have to glance over my shoulder to know when to run.
Thank you so much, Ben. Our next reader. Okay. Our next reader is Rosetta Peters. Rosetta has shown me how leadership rooted in ancestry, community healing, and truth really looks like. Our friendship is one that I treasure, and her presence is a gift in this city. She's a poet, an author, a public speaker, and an activist. She is the Crow Creek and Denton, Dakota,
Crow Creek Indian.
thank you.
Fine.
A procrastinator to the point of detriment and a lover of the natural world. She is the author of Blue Hummingbird Dance and the writer for Peoples and Anthology. Welcome, Rosie.
Thank you so much. It's really, really great to be here. Mataku api. Rosie imaki api e. Madakota I Wokiju Wakpa Akieda Ezyati. Hello, my relatives. My name is Rosie, and I live near the St. Croix River. I am really grateful to be here. I'm a poet, but I have poems. I could always read those. But I want to share something else with you, and before I do, I would really like to share a story. I was up near Badewa-Khan at the cabin when Renee Good was murdered. Badewa-Khan is Mille Lacs. And for Dakota people, that area is a holy land. Well, all of Minnesota Makoche is a holy land for Dakota people. I still as Dakota people, we're still exiled. We're still banished. According to federal law, it is illegal for me to be here. So my existence is a protest. And I'm pretty feisty. You can ask anybody that knows me, I kinda dig it. I dig being a protest. It works for my personality. Anyway, so I'm there, and the day before Renee Good was murdered, I had just finished a historical book written by Linda Clemens. It was Dakota in Exile, that followed the life of Robert Hopkins and Sarah Hopkins after the Dakota War or uprising. And Robert Hopkins is Cheske, and he was an educator, and he was an early convert, and he was a preacher. Well, I'm a Hopkins. You know, the last time I was out, took my dad to Crow Creek before I went to Cheyenne River for the Oyeti Shakoan Writers Conference. And while my dad was there, this was just this past summer, he found out that he was illegally adopted. You know, his mom had taken him out to San Francisco, where Gerald Peters adopted my father, and my grandfather, Floyd Ronald Hopkins, that's our, white last name, he did not agree he did not give up his son. And my father's grandparents did not give up their grandchild. But this was a common practice in indigenous communities, children being stolen. Anyway, so I'm a daughter of this land, but I'm a daughter of settlers. I'm a daughter of immigrants. Dutch, my grandmother's Dutch, and then on my mom's side, there's Irish. So, inside of us we carry this war, right? Inside of us we carry these shames and these guilts, and we have to let them go. We got to put them down, right? So I'm at the cabin, and I just finished this book, and that night I had a dream. I dreamt I came to a cliff. My partner and I had come to this cliff, and there was a ravine, and it was a wooded ravine, and at the bottom is a river, and this river is just raging. And across from us there's a waterfall. It's a great waterfall, and there's so much power. And the only way for us to go, he says, we have to go, you have to jump. And I could see, the water was moving so fast, and the rocks were slippery, and there was just this little bitty trail, and I wasn't afraid of the jump, and I wasn't afraid of the water, and I wasn't even afraid if I would have fallen. Because I knew, something knew I was safe, but there was this sense of urgency that we needed to go, we gotta go. I go back, take a few steps back to get a run and jump, run and start. This is some Laura Croft Tomb Raider stuff in my dream space, right? Like, I'm doing it. I'm not afraid. I'm a matriarch in every room I stand, even in my dreams. I run, and right before I get to the cliff that I'm going to jump, I stop, I put my arms out to keep him from going too. And I said, we can't go. I can't go yet. I said, I need my chanupa. we need the chanupa. Okay. I just, 2 years ago met my medicine family. This is her. This is the matriarch, medicine woman. I carry her with me. This was a gift from my daughter. I'm learning about the chanupa, the way of the pipe, our ceremonies. Yeah, we need the chanupa. We need all of it. It's love, just love. I live in Marina on St. Croix, and I'm a co-owner of this little bitty bar and restaurant, Brookside Bar and Grill. I'm a matriarch there. I'm everybody's mom, and it's been really hard these last couple of weeks. Everybody, tensions are high, and then if you add alcohol, it's like, it's blaze. So I'm walking around and I'm monitoring conversations to make sure, like, I want people to talk about what's happening, but when you add alcohol to that fuel fire, I just have to be really careful how far I let things go. I don't want to be one of those places where we're not having that. I'm going to tell you right now, no tolerance for violence. There was a conversation happening at the bar where this man, he tells me, he's mad, he's drinking his whiskey. Rosie, I'm so angry, I can't even, half my family, I'm cutting off half my family, I can't even speak to them anymore. Because our views are different. They're okay with what's happening, and then I'm thinking, man, we've been here before. This isn't new. None of this is new. What do you think America was founded on? Nobody's illegal on stolen land, built with stolen hands, like that. But I think to myself, please, I said to him, don't close the door. Don't close the door. I understand your anger. I understand that heartache and that disappointment. Don't close the door on the people that you love. You got to keep praying for them. I believe that we're at a crossroads, that our humanity, our species, is at a crossroads. And I believe in us. I refuse to give up hope. I know we can do better. And that is crazy for me to say as an indigenous person, as a Dakota Weon. But I'm going to say that. I know it. I see the beauty in humanity. I see it because you're all here right now. And this is a ceremony. And we have to hold, in these dark times, we got to hold tight to our ceremonies. Poetry, I love every single thing about poetry. I live and breathe and write and create, which is a new thing for me. Poetry, I teach it. Hold on to your ceremonies. And we all belong here. Last year, ironically, now I'll get to the reading part. So last year, Rebecca, would you mind handing out some of those? I don't think I printed off enough. I didn't know how many people would be here, but I want to share, if you guys could share this. So the day after the presidential election, for some reason, I was sick. I couldn't go to work. My daughter and I both, my youngest, we stayed home. And we worked from home in our pajamas at the dining room table. I was writing the front house schedule. She was working on schoolwork. There was she had an assignment. She was like, Mom, will you help me with my assignment? And the assignment was, how does the Declaration of Independence help us understand our nature of freedom? The nature of freedom. And I was like, what fucking freedom? For who? Who? What? The Declaration of Independence was written 50 years prior to Dakota people having contact with European colonizers. And I just want to really quickly, I want to say something that I think that I believe in all my being. There's a difference between being a colonizer, a settler, an immigrant. You know, when you immigrate into a country, you adopt some of their customs. You're like, oh, I'm going to immigrate. I'm going to take out, I'm going to learn some language. I'm going to learn the culture. You know, that's what immigration is. That hasn't happened very much here on Turtle Island. Not too much. And then, you know, settler, we've had more settler colonialism happening here, where people just come and they're like, oh, this is mine. I don't care that you've been here for 14,000 years. Go away. I want this. It's beautiful. I'm going to take it. That's settling, you know? And then being a colonizer, I don't think that has anything to do with color of your skin, any of that. You know, anybody can be a colonizer. That's just how you look at the natural world. If you see a tree and you don't see it as your relative, you know, and you see it as a resource, something to exploit and extract, to take money from, make money from, you're a colonizer. If you see the water is not a sentient, living, breathing being, life, blood. If you see that as something to generate AI and make tons of money off of, you're a colonizer. Anyway, so for funsies, Zildjian and I, we rewrote the Declaration of Independence from an indigenous perspective. And I don't know how long it's been since a lot of you have read the Declaration of Independence, but let me tell you, it is, I don't want to spoil anything. We'll just get on with it. Come on, baby, you want to help me? All right, here we go. On Turtle Island, November 6th, 2024. The unanimous declaration of 1,000 plus indigenous tribes, First Nations people of Turtle Island and our allies, when, in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's creator entitled them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all human beings are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among people, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, It is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. And accordingly, all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of indigenous tribes, First Nations peoples of Turtle Island and our allies, which constrains us to alter our current system of government. The history of the present United States of America is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these lands. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world.
The United States of America has refused its Constitution, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good.
The United States of America has forbidden its governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance unless suspended in their operation till its Constitution should be obtained. And when so suspended, the United States has utterly neglected to attend to them.
The United States of America has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people would relinquish the right of sovereignty, a right assembled to them and formidable to tyrants only.
The United States of America has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records for the sole purpose of fatiguing indigenous First Nations people and our allies into compliance with its measures.
The United States of America has dissolved representative tribes repeatedly for opposing with mainly firmness its invasions on the rights of the people.
The United States of America has refused for a long time, after such disillusions, to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers incapable of annihilation have returned to the people at large for their exercise, the land remaining in the meantime exposed to all the dangers of invasion from without and convulsions within.
The United States of America has endeavored to prevent the population of Turtle Island. For obstructing the laws for naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migration hither, and raising the conditions of new appropriations of lands.
The United States of America has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing its Constitution for establishing judiciary powers.
The United States of America has made judges dependent on its will alone for the tenure of their offices and the amount and payment of their salaries.
The United States of America has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people, our lands, and our waters, and to eat out their substance.
The United States of America has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislators.
The United States of America has been affected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power.
The United States of America has combined with others to subject us to jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and acknowledged by our laws, giving its rights to their acts of pretended legislation.
For quartering large bodies of armed troops among us,
For protecting them by a mock trial from punishment for any murders which they should commit on the inhabitants of Turtle Island.
for cutting off our trade with all parts of the world,
For imposing taxes on us without our consent.
for depriving us, in many cases, of the benefits of trial by jury,
For transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses.
for violating our treaties, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our governments,
For suspending our own legislators and declaring themselves invested with power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever.
The United States of America has abdicated government here by declaring us out of its protection and waging war against us, our lands, and our waters.
The United States of America has plundered our seas, ravaged our coast, burnt our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people.
The United States of America is, at this time, transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny already begun with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages and totally unworthy the head of a civilized nation.
The United States of America has constrained our fellow citizens, taken captive on the high seas to bear arms against their country, to become the executioners of their friends and brethren, or to fall themselves by their hands.
The United States of America has excited domestic insurrections amongst us and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers the merciless European colonizers, whose known rule of warfare is undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions.
In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A president whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people.
Nor have we been wanting attention to our settler and immigrant brethren. We have warned them from time to time of attempts by their legislature to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of the circumstances of our indigeneity and our history here. We have appealed to their spirit and magnanimity. I'm sorry, I didn't write this, Thomas Jefferson did. And we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow these usurpations, which would inevitably interrupt our connections and correspondence. They too have been deaf to the voice of justice and Wakantanka. We must, therefore, acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation and hold them as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace, friends.
We, therefore, the representatives of the 1,000 plus indigenous tribes, First Nations people of Turtle Island and our allies, in General Congress, assembled appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do in the name and by authority of the good people of Turtle Island, solemnly publish and declare that these lands and people are, and outright, out to be free and independent relatives of creation, that they are absolved from all foreign and domestic eco-terrorism, and that all political connection between Turtle Island and the United States of America is and out to be totally dissolved, and that as free and independent nations, they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and do all the other acts and things which independent nations may have right to do. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor.